Hi everyone, it's Simon Keeling here at weatherweb.net. Thanks again for watching on Friday the 4th of October. Back in the office today and looking at the longer range forecast. Now don't forget weatherweb.net's kept free of charge by the adverts that you see around the screen. So when you come back and use the site, that's what keeps us free of charge. So thanks for doing that. Now the Japanese forecast for week 1 looking like this. This is the forecast that takes us forward from today through to the 11th of October, and look at that huge ridge across the UK. That's higher than normal heights, with the trough out here in the Atlantic. That's what's bringing in the mild southerly winds through the country, keeping us mild during the course of the week ahead. Notice as well another ridge out here across the eastern parts of the states, deep trough across central and western parts of the states, with high pressure blocked out there across the northern Pacific, and interestingly as well, just this area of high pressure here getting into parts of Asia. So I think what we're going to find is actually this high really reluctant to clear. And unsurprisingly, the rainfall forecast for the week ahead showing things as generally dry too. Don't get run away with the idea there won't be any rain around. There will be some across northern and western Scotland particularly, but also bits and pieces for northern parts of England and Ireland. But the emphasis is on dry conditions for the time of year. Now into the second week, so this is taking us forward from the 11th through to the 18th of October, and this one's showing a trough out in the Atlantic. Look, this big ridge through the British Isles, high pressure again in control, and this mild south to southeasterly flow through the week, so little change is expected, and unsurprisingly, look, we've got rainfall figures below normal as well. So even right into the middle of the month here, the Japanese model saying, look, what you see is what you get. Now by the final week of the month, so this takes us from the 18th forwards for 2 weeks then. So this then takes us up until the early part of November. And look at that, just showing higher than normal heights. You notice it has come around more into a westerly flow though, so hints of that westerly trying to return, so the breakdown taking place. And certainly I think it will be a slow breakdown towards the end of the month. And the rainfall forecast for the final 2 weeks of the month showing rainfall generally look below normal for the time of year across much of the UK, nearer normal across northern Scotland, and that's what you'd expect with the signs that this westerly flow is going to return. So what about the CFS? Well, this is the CFS forecast ending on the 10th, and you notice here the dry conditions down across England and Wales, wetter conditions up through Scotland. Now for week 2, look, it builds the high into the south. You notice how dry it is, completely dry almost, across most of the UK apart from northern parts of Scotland during the weekend in the 17th. But then, as per the GEM, look, it's starting to bring rain in to the west, with the high breaking down probably towards the end of this period into the 24th. So we've probably got to look at the period around about the 20th to the 24th for the possibility of the breakdown taking place. But it really is short-lived, because just look what happens according to the CFS. It wants to build the high back in, so we'd get the high positioned in here somewhere, probably during this week right at the end of the month. So yes, we may see this kind of damper spell or a more unsettled spell the 20th to 24th, but then the high gets back in and we settle down into dry conditions again. And just notice incidentally how wet Europe is. But then the high retreats again, and so by the beginning of November we're back into damper conditions across much of northern England, Ireland and Scotland. But you notice there the lighter colours across the south of the UK indicating lighter outbreaks of rain there. Probably the high by then retreats to the south, the flow doing something like this, coming in from a southwesterly direction. And temperature-wise, CFS quite interesting too, because it shows us holding with these temperatures, look, through until that last 3rd of October. Then we see this dip down in temperature, so certainly a bit of a step change here. And this has been consistent as well from the CFS around about these dates for that last 3rd of the month. But then rising again, look, as those southwesterlies kick in into the early part of November before quite a sharp fall-off into the middle of the month. So interesting to see some agreement there, isn't it, from the models, particularly through October into early November. And I think that we can work on being dry during this middle part of the month, but then going wetter, or more mixed is probably the phrase to use, right at the very end of the month or during that final third of the month, but then the high trying to get back in and then disappears off once again, but going damper for the early part of November. So I'll leave you with that for now. Thanks again for watching weatherweb.net. Whatever you're doing, have a great day and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.